Hello, it's time now for Media Watch. I'm joined in the studio by James Creedon for that. Good evening to you, James.
Good evening, Catherine.
Now, in a bid to explain some of the economic crisis and social unrest, it seems that some journalists have been turning to poetry.
Yes, indeed. Even to William Butler Yeats, long deceased, but apparently one of the best placed people to explain the 2011 economic crisis, it seems.
Very foresighted of him.
Exactly. Now, so basically the headline in today's Guardian editorial was lifted straight out of a poem by William Butler Yeats in 1920 called I should remember the name, but shouldn't I? The Second Coming. And there was a line out of that poem called Slouching Towards Bethlehem, which was a metaphor for a sort of a new era, a transition from one system or one kind of civilization to another, basically the end of an era. So the line that I suppose is relevant is the following: things fall apart, the centre cannot hold, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Sounds very foreboding indeed. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. So it's a poem that is very dark indeed and paints a very dark picture. And it was written in the interwar years back in 1920, and as many have said, it could perhaps equally apply to our era. And indeed, one of the people who was reading this editorial said, "That's so strange. I was just reading the financial news and that poem came into my mind, and now I'm reading this editorial, which is entitled, which is a title inspired by this poem." So it seems to be a poem that is capturing the moment in many respects.
Leader writers feeling rather gloomy.
Indeed, and especially even more bizarrely over at the Financial Times, they also quoted this poem in the last couple of days, but this time broadening out, I suppose, to the unrest surrounding all of the economic uncertainty and the Occupy movement. And so what they were getting at was the Occupy movement doesn't have any focus. It's a big criticism of it. People are saying they don't have precise demands, and that is contrasted with the banks, which are very precise and very, I suppose, clear on their goals, i.e. less regulation. So the quote they used there was, "The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity." Another quote from the same poem within 24 hours. So Yeats being used to illustrate the crisis. And I suppose it's not just Yeats. You've also got this headline here: from a Greek tragedy to an Italian opera, markets disc like Silvio. So people turning to the arts in all sorts of shapes and forms and varieties to try to explain a very complicated economic
We have seen
system.
the Greek tragedy bandied around in headlines during this Eurozone crisis.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to other news now. Today is the 11th of the 11th, 2011. All sorts of strange events are happening around the world. The media talking a lot about this date, of course.
That's right. Of course, it's Armistice Day, and it's been remembered in France, Britain, and the US for World War I and other such. I suppose remembering war in general. But a lot of people are saying, it is a very strange date, 11/11/11. And I think it was you were saying earlier that some were calling it corduroy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on Twitter, corduroy day, because of all the stripes. Rather nice.
Which I think is quite
analogy.
funny. And if you have a look online, a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it. So the Guardian asked people to send in their photos from at 11/11. Somebody decided to send in shampoo bottles. I don't know why exactly.
Just been having a shower at that point in time, perhaps. I
There
guess
are 6
that's
of
what
them.
we can gather from that.
Looks a little bit like the date. And if we move to the Washington Post, they're pointing out that the Great Pyramid of Giza was shut down today. Now, some conspiracy theorists were saying that there was a Masonic ceremony going on inside in the pyramid on this date. Obviously, they are saying that they shut it down because of maintenance work, but they're also saying they shut it down. Some are saying they shut it down because they were afraid of, I suppose, conspiracy theorists or people who have strange and wonderful beliefs going to the pyramid and celebrating them on that day. Also, you can see here in Shanghai Daily an awful lot of marriages in China.
An auspicious date for some,
An auspicious date for some, indeed. And there are photos in the Telegraph about that. Somebody on Twitter as well saying they bought a lottery ticket at 11/11, so hoping that it'll be lucky.
I'll see if that date proves lucky for them. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
indeed. James Creedon here with Media Watch here on France 24. Well, stay tuned. The latest international news headlines and a full news bulletin coming up very soon.